Tonight we enter a nightmare that feels terrifyingly real. A story where guilt arrives without crime and judgment, comes without explanation or mercy. Drift off whenever you like. The story will carry you gently through the darkness. There's no test at the end, only rest. This is Franz Kafka's The Trial, a book about guilt without crime, judgment without justice, and the quiet terror of accusation. Joseph K. is a bank officer, 30 years old, living a respectable, quiet life. On the morning of his birthday, everything changes forever. Someone must have been spreading lies about Joseph K. For without having done anything wrong, one fine morning, he was placed under arrest. Picture Prague in the early 20th century. Gray stone buildings crowd narrow streets. The old empire crumbles while bureaucracy multiplies endlessly. K rents a room in Frau Grubach's boarding house. Respectable establishment, respectable tenants, respectable routine. Until this morning, everything was respectable. K rings for his breakfast as he does every morning. The cook usually brings it at 8. Instead, a stranger enters without knocking. The stranger wears a dark traveler's coat. He's eating K's breakfast with obvious pleasure. Apple bread, all of it disappearing into his mouth. K demands to know who this man is. What does he want? The stranger just smiles and says K should ring the bell again. K rings again. A second stranger appears, younger but similarly dressed. Franz is his name. Both men now block the doorway completely. K tries to assert himself. He is a bank officer, a man of position. These strangers must explain themselves immediately. They laugh at him. K demands to see their identification papers. Surely proper authorities carry proper documentation. The guards shake their heads. Papers don't matter here. An inspector waits in the next room. They say, Fräulein B. Rissner's room, K's neighbor. K must go there now to learn his situation. The inspector sits at Fräulein B. Rissner's small table, mustached, bespectacled, utterly bored. He announces that K is under arrest. No charge is named. K asks the obvious question. What is the charge? What crime has he committed? The inspector cannot or will not say. The arrest simply is. Strange rules govern this arrest. K is free to go to work, live his normal life, await further developments. Arrested but not confined. Through the window, K sees faces watching. Colleagues from the bank across the courtyard. They've witnessed everything. His humiliation is public now. They allow K to dress under their supervision. His dark suit becomes armor. Each button fastened is a small reclamation of dignity. Frau Grubach hovers in the hallway, wringing her hands. His landlady suspected nothing, knew nothing. She apologizes as if it were her fault. K walks to the bank through morning streets. The city looks the same as always. Only K has changed. The accused walks among the innocent. At his desk, K pretends nothing happened. But colleagues glance sideways. Word has spread somehow. Everyone seems to know something he doesn't. Evening comes. K returns to the boarding house. He waits in the parlor for Fräulein B. Rissner. He must explain, apologize, make something right. B. Rissner returns late, tired from work. K intercepts her in the hallway. He follows her into her room uninvited, just as they invaded his. K kisses her suddenly, desperately. She pulls away. Footsteps sound in the hallway. Someone is always watching. Someone always knows. Morning comes and B. Rissner avoids K in the hallway. Their eyes meet once, then she looks away. Whatever connection existed has severed cleanly. A week passes in unbearable tension. K goes to work, returns home, waits. The arrest hangs over him like a blade suspended on a thread. Sunday morning, a summons arrives. K must appear before the court of inquiry. An address is given, nothing more. No time specified. K searches for the address through unfamiliar streets. Working-class neighborhood, tall tenements blocking the sun. This cannot be where courts are held. The building seems endless. Staircase after staircase, landing after landing. K climbs toward the attic, sweat dampening his collar, breath growing short. In the attic, K finds it. A makeshift courtroom, packed with spectators on wooden benches rising to the ceiling. They turn to watch him enter. The crowd divides into factions. Kay notices badges on their lapels. Some wear one emblem, some another. All of them belong to the court. Kay decides to fight. He delivers a defiant speech denouncing his arrest as farce and corruption. His voice rises. The crowd stirs and murmurs. The reaction splits wildly. Some spectators applaud, others hiss. Chaos erupts in the gallery. Kay has made powerful enemies with his words today. The judge bangs his gavel for order. His face reveals nothing. Kay cannot tell if he has helped or harmed his case. Perhaps there is no difference. Kay storms out, believing he has won. Behind him, spectators exchange knowing smiles. The accused always think defiance matters. It never does. The following week brings no summons. Kay waits by his door each morning, checking mail twice, 3 times. The court has fallen silent. Kay returns to the court building on his own. He needs answers. But the building looks different now. Corridors lead where no corridors were before. Lost in endless law court corridors. Offices stretch in every direction. Men sit on benches waiting, heads bowed. Some have waited for years. A woman appears, the washerwoman who cleans these offices. She offers to help Kay find his way. Her eyes hold too much interest. She presses close to Kay as she guides him. Her hand lingers on his arm. She confesses she is drawn to accused men. They fascinate her. A law student interrupts them. He seizes the washerwoman roughly, claiming her for the examining magistrate. Kay is shoved aside, irrelevant. Kay follows helplessly as the student carries her up creaking stairs toward the magistrate's chambers. She doesn't struggle. She belongs to them already. A man appears beside Kay, the court usher. He apologizes without conviction. His wife belongs to the court now, he explains. Everyone here does. The usher offers to show Kay the law court offices. Perhaps understanding the machine will help Kay navigate it. Kay agrees, desperate for any advantage. In every corridor, accused men wait on wooden benches. Some have been coming here for years. They sit hunched, beaten, barely looking up when Kay passes. The air grows thick and stale. Kay finds it hard to breathe. The corridors press in. He stumbles, catches himself on the wall, vision darkening. A young woman working in the offices helps Kay outside. Fresh air hits his face. He vomits in the gutter. He knows he will have to return. Weeks pass without progress. Kay's case exists somewhere in those files, those offices, but he cannot reach it. The court holds him at arm's length. Uncle Carl arrives from the country without warning. He has heard about the arrest somehow. The family honor is at stake, he thunders. Kay must fight. Uncle Carl paces Kay's office, nearly weeping with distress. The family name will be ruined. Kay's cousins will suffer. Does Kay understand what he has done? But Uncle knows someone who might help. An old friend, an advocate named Huld. Very ill now, but still practicing. Tonight they will visit him together. That night Kay and his uncle travel through dark streets to Huld's apartment. Tall building in wealthy neighborhood. Gas lamps flicker as they approach. A young woman opens the door. Dark hair, pale skin, knowing smile. This is Lenny, Huld's nurse. Her eyes fix on Kay with immediate, unsettling interest. Huld's sick room overwhelms with shadows. The advocate lies in massive bed surrounded by towers of case files. He barely raises his head in greeting. They have interrupted something. The chief clerk of the court sits in shadows by the bed. Another visitor, official business. Kay's uncle apologizes too many times. Huld begins to explain the court system to Kay. Byzantine procedures, unwritten rules, officials whose names cannot be spoken. Knowledge that helps nothing. Kay slips away from the conversation, drawn by curiosity. Lenny waits for him in the dark hallway. She pulls him into the advocate's study. Lenny shows Kay her hand. Between her middle and ring finger, the skin is webbed. She spreads her fingers proudly. A strange defect she cherishes. Lenny kisses Kay with sudden fierce hunger. She confesses she loves all the accused men. Their vulnerability excites her. Kay is just the latest. Uncle Carl bursts in and finds them together. His face turns purple with rage. Kay has ruined everything, sabotaged his own case through foolishness. On the dark street outside, Uncle Carl delivers his verdict. The chief clerk will remember this. Hode will be offended. Kay has thrown away his advantage. Kay walks home alone through empty streets. He feels something like guilt, though whether for Lenny or his case or both, he cannot say. In following weeks, Kay visits Hode regularly. The advocate drafts petitions, makes promises, speaks of strategies. Nothing is ever submitted, nothing changes. Hode speaks endlessly of complicated strategies. First petitions, then personal appeals, then bribes to minor officials. Always another step before real action begins. Kay begins to wonder if Hode is helping or simply extracting fees. The advocate's illness seems convenient. His knowledge seems designed to create dependence. Lenny becomes Kay's regular escape during visits. In dark corners of the apartment, they meet. She speaks of the other accused men she has known. Lenny mentions a man named Block, a merchant accused for 5 years now. He lives in Hode's apartment, in the maid's tiny room, waiting always. Kay meets Block, a small hunched man with gray skin and watery eyes. 5 years of accusation have broken him completely. He barely speaks above a whisper. Block has hired 6 advocates secretly. Hode doesn't know about the others. Each tells Block different things. He trusts none of them but needs them all. Block shows Kay his room, a cell barely larger than a closet, a cot, a candle, religious pictures cut from newspapers. 5 years in this space. Hode summons Block to demonstrate his methods. Kay watches as the advocate humiliates his client. Block kneels, kisses Hode's hand, recites his gratitude like prayer. Kay watches Block's degradation with sick recognition. This is what the court creates. Supplicants who have forgotten they were ever anything else. Is this Kay's future? Kay considers dismissing Hode entirely. But what then? Where would he turn? The court offers no alternatives. Every door leads back to the same corridor. Meanwhile, Kay's bank work deteriorates. The deputy manager circles like a vulture. Kay's clients are being reassigned. His position erodes while he battles invisible charges. Kay finds himself distracted in important meetings. Clients speak and he doesn't hear. His mind returns always to the attic courtroom, the waiting benches. The case. A colleague mentions a name. Titorelli, a painter who does portraits for court judges. He knows people. He might know something useful about Kay's situation. Kay decides to visit this painter immediately. Any connection to the court must be explored. He leaves the bank without explanation, practically running through the streets. Titorelli's building is worse than the court tenement. Crumbling facade, faded air, stairs that groan under every step. Art flourishes in surprising places. Strange children follow Kay up the stairs. Young girls with knowing eyes who seem to live in the building. They giggle and whisper. They know about the trial. Titorelli's garret studio is a revelation. Tiny room crammed with canvases, paint supplies, a narrow bed. Skylight harsh. No room to breathe or think. Identical paintings lean against every wall. The same bleak heath landscape, repeated endlessly. Titorelli explains he paints what sells. Judges buy these for their offices. Titorelli sits Kay down for a lesson. There are only 3 possible outcomes for any case, he says. None of them is what Kay hopes for. First, there is real acquittal. Complete exoneration, charges dropped forever. But in living memory, no one has ever achieved this. It may be impossible. Second is ostensible acquittal. The charges are formally dropped, but they can be reopened at any moment. Freedom that is never truly free. Third is indefinite postponement. Keep the case in lowest courts forever through endless procedures. Exhausting, expensive, but you stay alive. This is what most choose. Kay realizes the truth. There is no escape from accusation. Every path loops back. The court will follow him until he dies, one way or another. Girls pound on the studio door, demanding entry. Titorelli waves them off, but explains they too belong to the court somehow. Everything and everyone connects to it. Kay buys several of the identical landscapes as payment for the advice. Worthless paintings for worthless information. The transaction feels appropriately absurd. Titorelli offers Kay a back exit. The door opens directly into law court corridors. The studio connects to the court. Everywhere connects to the court. Kay flees through the corridors, paintings under his arm. The same stifling air, the same yellow gaslight, the same bent figures on benches. No escape exists. Kay bursts into the street and vomits in the gutter. His body rejects the accumulated corruption. Passers-by stare. He doesn't care anymore. Kay decides to dismiss Hold. Enough of advocates and strategies and promises. He will face the court alone, even if alone means defeat. Hold refuses to understand the dismissal. He lectures Kay on ingratitude, on the complexity of the case, on the dangers of proceeding without expert guidance. Hold calls for Block to demonstrate what a proper client looks like. The merchant shuffles in, already cowering before any command is given. Hold makes Block kneel, makes him kiss his blanket, makes him recite gratitude for the advocate's efforts. Block performs each degradation without hesitation. Kay watches the spectacle with revulsion. Hold speaks coldly over Block's head. "This is not a client," he says. "This is a dog." Kay sees his own reflection. Kay dismisses Hold formally and turns to leave. The advocate's protests follow him into the hall. Linny waits there, her face stricken. Linny begs Kay to reconsider. Without Hold, she cannot protect him. She cannot help him. Her concern seems genuine, but concern changes nothing. Kay walks out into the night street. No advocate now. No strategy. No illusion of defense. Just Kay and the court, facing each other directly at last. Days pass in strange paralysis. Kay cannot move forward with his case, cannot move backward to old life. He exists in between, suspended. At the bank, Kay sits at his desk staring at nothing. Papers pile up. Colleagues avoid him. The deputy manager's smile grows wider each day. An Italian businessman arrives at the bank. Kay must show him the cathedral, explain its art. Normal duty feels impossible now, but Kay agrees. Kay prepares for the cathedral visit. He studies his guidebook through the night, art history, architecture. Normal facts about normal places. It almost helps. The Italian never arrives at the cathedral. Kay waits in the vast echoing space alone. Was this always the plan? Is he being watched even here? The cathedral overwhelms with silence. Stone pillars rise into darkness too high to see. Side chapels flicker with votive candles. Kay feels utterly small. A verger appears briefly, old man in dark robes. He mentions Kay by name before vanishing into shadow. How does everyone know? Kay has never been here before. A lamp flickers to life in the pulpit above. Someone is climbing the wooden stairs. Kay is about to receive a sermon he did not ask for. The prison chaplain calls Kay by name. His voice echoes through the cathedral. Kay tries to leave, but the voice commands him to stay. He obeys. The chaplain descends to speak with Kay directly. He is the prison chaplain, he explains. He has come to tell Kay that things are going badly for him. Kay protests his innocence. He has done nothing. The charges are never explained. How can he be guilty of an unnamed crime? The chaplain says guilt speaks for itself. The chaplain offers Kay a story instead of comfort. A parable, he calls it. Before the law. Listen carefully, he says, it concerns you. Before the law stands a doorkeeper, the story begins. A man from the country arrives and asks for entry. The doorkeeper says not now. Perhaps later. The man decides to wait. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. The doorkeeper neither permits entry nor forbids the waiting. The man grows old on his stool. The man tries everything, questions bribes, pleas. The doorkeeper accepts bribes, but nothing changes. The door remains closed. Entry remains always later. Finally, dying, the man asks his last question. Why has no one else ever sought entry here? In all these years, only him. Why only him? The doorkeeper's answer destroys everything. This door was made only for you, he says. No one else could ever enter. Now I shall close it. Kay argues with the chaplain about the story's meaning. Is the doorkeeper deceiver or servant? Was waiting the mistake? Should the man have pushed through? The chaplain offers no comfort. Scripture doesn't have to be true to be believed, he says. Kay must not expect too much from the court. Kay leaves the cathedral in darkness. The city seems changed. Streets narrower, shadows deeper, the end is approaching. He can feel it now. A year has passed since that first morning. Tomorrow is Kay's 31st birthday. Tonight, he sits in his room dressed in black, as if for a funeral. The clock strikes 9. Kay does not move. He has been waiting, though he could not have said for what. A knock comes at the door. Kay does not ask who it is. He simply opens the door. 2 men stand there in frock coats, pale, plump, with an air of theatrical formality. Kay studies them briefly. Old actors perhaps, or tenors past their prime. Something absurd about their appearance. He realizes they have been sent for him. "So you have been sent for me," Kay says. It is not a question. The men bow slightly, formally, acknowledging their errand without naming it. Kay considers resisting. He could refuse to go, slam the door, barricade himself inside. But what would be the point? They would return tomorrow. The men link their arms through Kay's, one on each side. The 3 of them walk together like old friends out for an evening stroll. Kay sets the pace. This much dignity remains to him. He walks steadily through the night streets. The men follow his lead without complaint. They pass a woman who resembles Frau Uhlenbe Restner. Same build, same walk. Kay strains to see her face. She turns a corner before he can. Kay remembers kissing Bu Restner that night a year ago. The last time he felt something like hope. The last time another person seemed to want him near. The city grows quieter as they walk toward its edge. Buildings become sparser. The cobblestones give way to dirt road. The quarry lies ahead. Moonlight illuminates their path. The night is beautiful, Kay notices. Clear sky, stars visible. Strange to see beauty now, walking toward this ending. A policeman appears, watching them pass. Kay could cry out for help. The thought crosses his mind and leaves. What would he say? "Help, I'm being arrested." Kay understands now. The court has won completely. Not through force, but through something deeper. He walks to his death because the alternative is worse. They reach the abandoned quarry. Steep rock walls rise on 3 sides, catching the moonlight. Pale stone like bones of the earth exposed. The men position Kay against a boulder. They arrange him with theatrical care. Jacket off. Shirt collar opened. Everything done with strange gentleness. Kay looks up and sees a light in a distant building. Someone moving behind a window. A figure leans out, arms extended. Help that cannot reach him. Who is it? A friend he never made. A court official observing. A stranger who happens to look out at this moment. Kay will never know. One executioner draws a long butcher knife. He passes it to the other. They pass it back and forth ceremonially, each expecting the other to act. Kay understands what they want. He is supposed to take the knife himself, end his own life. Make their work clean. He refuses. This is Kay's final assertion of will. He will not participate in his own execution. They must take responsibility for what they do. It is not much, but it is something. The men lean over Kay together. One holds his shoulders. The other raises the knife. Their faces are very close to his. He can smell their breath. In his final moment, Kay sees them pass the knife once more between themselves. Their faces pressed together, cheek to cheek, watching him die. Like a dog, Kay thinks. His last thought. It seemed as if the shame was to outlive him. Then nothing. The trial is over. The quarry falls silent. Only moonlight and rock and distant city lights. 2 men walk away. 1 body remains. The universe notices nothing. This is how Kay's story ends. Not heroically. Not peacefully. Simply terminated. A case closed in files no one will read. A life reduced to paperwork. The trial was never explained. No crime was named. No verdict was pronounced. Kay was accused, processed, and disposed of. The system worked perfectly. Kay never saw the highest courts. Only antechambers and waiting rooms. Only the edges of a vast machinery he could never map or comprehend. His resistance meant nothing. His defiance meant nothing. His final refusal to take the knife meant nothing. The outcome was always this. Always. The shame survives. Kafka's terrible final image. Not death that horrifies, but the shame of dying like a dog. That is what lingers. Let us return to the beginning now. That morning light through Kay's window. The cook's breakfast that never arrived. The stranger eating his apple. What if Kay had simply refused to engage? Laughed at the guards, gone to work, ignored the whole thing. Impossible. Refusal was never an option. Everyone Kay met was part of the court. The washerwoman, the painter, even Linny. Perhaps even his uncle. The court extends into every relationship. The court exists everywhere. In every building, every office, every attic. Titorelli's studio connects to court corridors. The boundaries do not hold. Kay's guilt was his existence. Simply being human was the crime. No specific act required accusation. The charge was living while liable to judgment. Modern readers feel recognition reading this. We know bureaucracy. We know forms that cannot be understood. We know judgment without explanation. The unreachable law still exists. Tax codes no human can comprehend. Legal systems that punish poverty. Insurance claims denied by algorithms. We are all Joseph K. in some way. Awaiting judgments we cannot appeal. Filling forms we do not understand. Hoping for acquittals that never truly come. Here is a strange fact. Kafka never finished this novel. He left chapters incomplete, order uncertain. The book itself remains on trial, never concluded. Missing chapters, fragments. Scenes Kafka wrote but could not place. Max Brod assembled what we have from pieces found after Kafka's death. Kafka asked Brod to burn everything. All unpublished manuscripts. All letters. All notebooks, Brod promised. Then Brod betrayed that promise beautifully. Brod made editorial choices Kafka never authorized, arranged chapters. Filled gaps with guesswork. The novel we read is partly Brod's construction. Different editions arrange chapters differently. Scholars still debate the proper sequence. Perhaps no definitive version can exist. The case remains open. The incompleteness fits perfectly. No ending could truly satisfy. No resolution could close what Kafka opened. The novel remains as trapped as Kay himself. Kay's story cannot resolve because the human condition cannot resolve. We live under accusation. We die under accusation. That is Kafka's terrible insight. Let us return to the parable. Before the law. The story the chaplain told Kay in the cathedral. It deserves more attention. Listen again. A man waits his entire life at a door meant only for him. The door never opens. When he dies, it closes forever. Was this cruel or inevitable? Is the doorkeeper cruel or kind? He prevents entry but also warns of further doorkeepers beyond. He takes bribes but changes nothing. Perhaps he is neither. Was waiting the mistake? Should the man have simply walked through, pushed past the doorkeeper, taken what was his? The parable does not say. Kafka offers no interpretation. The chaplain tells Kay that scripture need not be true to be believed. Truth and meaning are separate questions entirely. The law exists but cannot be reached. This is not a bug in the system but its feature. Unreachable law maintains perfect authority forever. K as everyman. His name abbreviated, identity generalized. He could be anyone. The court could be anywhere. The accusation could be anything. The boarding house as world in miniature. Every resident complicit in surveillance. Frau Grubach watching. Other boarders listening. Privacy an illusion from the start. Frau Grubach's false sympathy. She apologized on the morning of arrest. But she had already cooperated. She let the guards in. She gave them Kay's breakfast. Every woman Kay meets offers false help. Sexual attraction masks something else. They are drawn to accused men, to vulnerability, to doom. They participate. Lenny's love for accused men. She confessed it openly. The vulnerability excites her. She has loved many defendants before Kay. She will love many after. B. Restner's rejection after the kiss. Kay had invaded her room just as guards invaded his. He became what he hated without understanding the transformation. Kay becomes what he hates. The bank officer who processes people like files. The bureaucrat who dehumanizes in service of efficiency. The systems creature. His treatment of the washerwoman. He was attracted to her, used her briefly for information, then abandoned her to the law student, no better than his captors. His abandonment of Block. Fellow accused, suffering longer than K, reduced to dog. K watched the humiliation and felt only contempt. No solidarity formed. K never builds solidarity with other accused. Each defendant faces the court alone. This is by design. United, they might resist. Isolated, they fall. The court counts on isolation, on shame. On each accused believing themselves uniquely guilty. On pride preventing alliance. Divide and conquer infinitely. K's pride prevents him from seeking allies. He thinks himself different from Block and the others. Special. His case will be the exception. It never is. His bank position means nothing to the court. Status, education, profession, all irrelevant. The court does not recognize class. Only accusation and accused. Rich and poor wait on the same benches, breathing the same stale air. Their cases proceeding at the same glacial pace. Before the law, all are equal. The democratization of guilt. Everyone is potentially accused. Your turn simply hasn't come yet. Or perhaps it has, and you don't know it yet. Modern parallels emerge clearly. Security states, surveillance capitalism, data harvested without consent, profiles built from our movements and choices, data as accusation, our online selves constructing cases against us. Every click, every search, every pause on an image. Evidence accumulating silently. Algorithms as judges. Decisions made by systems no human understands. Credit denied. Insurance rejected. Employment refused. By calculation no one can explain. Customer service as law court. Endless holds. Transferred calls. Reference numbers that lead nowhere. Kafka's vision made utterly mundane and utterly real. Medical bureaucracy. Insurance denials without explanation. Appeals that vanish. Life and death decided by clerks following rules they did not write. Immigration systems. People waiting years for decisions. Lives suspended. Families separated. By processes no one seems able to speed or explain. Kafka's vision became reality. He prophesied the 20th century. Or perhaps he simply saw clearly what was always there. The court that governs all. Totalitarian states literalized his metaphor. Stalin's show trials. Confessions extracted for crimes that never happened. Guilt invented and then performed. The Nazi bureaucracy of death. Forms and procedures for extermination. Transport schedules, inventory lists. Murder made administrative. Kafka's nightmare surpassed. Kafka's own family perished in this system. His 3 sisters. All dead in camp. The writer who imagined bureaucratic murder did not imagine his family as victims. Kafka enters the language. A word for modern absurdity. For systems that trap while pretending to serve. For guilt without crime, we needed this word. But the word gets used too casually now. Waiting in line is not Kafkaesque. Annoying paperwork is not Kafkaesque. The word should terrify, not merely describe. True Kafkaesque horror is not inconvenience. It is accusation without charge. Judgment without appeal. Execution without explanation. Powerlessness before indifferent power. There is another court. The internal one. We accuse ourselves before anyone else does. Guilt we carry without external charge. Kafka knew this court too. Kafka's own self-accusation fills his letters. Inadequacy, failure. Guilt before his father, before women, before his own talent. He was K before K existed. His broken engagements. Felice Bauer, Julie Isaac. Each courtship became a trial. Himself as accused, women as judges. He always found himself guilty. Each courtship became trial. The famous Askenischer Hof incident. Felice, her sister, her friend, confronting Kafka in a hotel. He called it his trial. Marriage is impossible verdict. He could not accept acquittal. Something in him demanded continued accusation. The trial could not end in freedom. His relationship with his father. Hermann Kafka, the original judge. Loud, demanding, successful in business. Everything Franz was not, or believed himself not to be. Letter to his father. 47 pages of accusation and defense. The case stated completely. Kafka as prosecutor and defendant both. The ultimate self-trial. The letter was never delivered. Kafka gave it to his mother. She refused to pass it on. The case was heard by no one. The verdict is silence. Father as unreachable authority. The doorkeeper who never opens. Hermann at the family table, massive, incomprehensible. The law that cannot be questioned. Kay seeks father figures throughout the novel. Inspector, judges, advocate. None provide guidance or absolution. Authority exists only to deny. None provide guidance or absolution. The advocate exploits. The judge ignores. The chaplain refuses to interpret. Every father figure fails or betrays. The novel is confession. K is Kafka spelled differently. Same initial, same situation. The writer processing his guilt through fiction, finding no resolution. K for anonymity, but also for identification. The abbreviated name both hides and reveals. Every reader who has been accused sees themselves in that initial. Writing as trial. Kafka processed his guilt through fiction, seeking verdict that never came. The novel a courtroom where he was always defendant, never acquitted. Then real judgment came. August 1917. Tuberculosis diagnosis. The body pronouncing sentence the law never quite did. Death arriving with medical precision. 6 years of decline ahead. Kafka wrote knowing time was short. The tuberculosis gave him permission and deadline both. Right now or never. The body is court. Physical decay is judgment. Lungs pronouncing sentence. Kafka's own flesh became the trial's final venue, verdict death. Sanitariums as waiting rooms. Kafka among the accused ill, waiting for health that never comes. The medical system as court, postponing judgment indefinitely. Then Dora Diamond appeared. Young, vital, from Hasidic background. The only relationship that worked. In his final months, Kafka found something like peace. They moved to Berlin together. Away from Prague. Away from his father's shadow. For a few months, Kafka lived the ordinary life he had imagined impossible. But tuberculosis worsened. Laryngeal now. His voice destroyed. The writer silenced literally. Communication blocked at the source. Communication through slips of paper. Writer reduced to notes. Every thought requiring effort of writing, even simple requests. The pen his only voice now. 1924. A Tuesday morning. Dr. Klopstock administered morphine. Franz Kafka, age 40, stopped breathing. The trial finally ended. They buried him in Prague. Jewish cemetery, family plot. The city he fled returned to claim him. Stone marking the spot where a world sleeps. Max Brod's betrayal, his salvation, the burning request ignored. Instead, preservation and publication. The greatest literary gift through broken promise. The trial published in 1925, 1 year after Kafka's death. The world received a mirror and did not flinch. Something had been waiting for this book. Immediate recognition of genius. Critics understood something essential had arrived. Kafka's vision named a condition everyone felt, but could not articulate until now. The castle followed. Another unfinished masterpiece. Another K, land surveyor this time, trying to reach authority that recedes forever. The court has many forms. America too. His first novel more optimistic. Young Karl Rossmann in the New World. Hope that Kafka later extinguished in his mature vision. And the short stories circulated. The metamorphosis already famous. The judgment, in the penal colony. Smaller court, smaller trials, same verdict, always. Kafka's canon established. Small body of work, infinite influence. A few novels, a few dozen stories. From this, an entire vision of modern life emerged. Picture Prague in 1883. Gas lamps flicker on cobblestones. Horse carriages clatter through narrow streets. The old empire holds, but cracks are forming everywhere. The Jewish quarter is transforming. Old ghetto walls coming down. Ancient cramped streets being demolished for modern boulevards. A world disappearing as Franz arrives. Franz, born July 3, 1883. First surviving child of Hermann and Julie Kafka. Small and delicate from birth. Eyes already watchful, already taking everything in. 2 brothers had died before him in infancy. Georg and Heinrich, gone before memory could hold them. Franz carried the weight of being the one who lived. Father's fancy goods shop in Old Town Square. Haberdashery umbrellas, walking sticks. Hermann built it from nothing. Self-made man who expected the same from his son. Hermann came from rural poverty. Village of Wasik in southern Bohemia. Walked miles to school barefoot. Built himself into Prague merchant through will alone. Julie came from prosperous family. The low-whiz, brewers and scholars. Refined, educated, submissive to her loud husband. She mediated between father and son, never successfully. Franz was small and sickly, opposite of his father's physical ideal. Hermann wanted a robust son. He got a thin dreamer who flinched at loud voices. 3 sisters followed Franz. Ellie, then Vali, then Atla. He grew up alone among women, separate from his father, surrounded by female sympathy and understanding. German-speaking household in Czech-speaking city. The family chose the language of empire, of advancement. Franz grew up minority within minority. Jewish but assimilated. Neither religious nor fully secular. The family observed holidays without deep belief. Franz inherited doubt about everything, including his own identity. Triple outsider status. German among Czechs, Jew among Germans, bourgeois among workers. No community claimed him completely. He belonged everywhere and nowhere. School at the German gymnasium. Rigorous classical education. Latin, Greek, mathematics, literature. Franz excelled quietly, never drawing attention, always watching from the margins. He was brilliant but never confident. Answers he knew he would not raise his hand to give. Essays praised by teachers left him doubtful. Self-accusation began early. University came next. Charles University in Prague. Law studies, his father's choice, not his own. A practical profession for a practical family. Franz Ob. Lecture Hall, 1902. Small energetic man already publishing poetry. He saw something in quiet Franz that Franz could not see himself. Broad was already publishing, already confident. He encouraged Franz to write seriously, to believe his strange visions might matter. Without Broad, perhaps no Kafka at all. Law degree completed in 1906. Reluctant qualification for practical career. Father satisfied at last, briefly. Franz felt the prison doors closing gently around him. First job at insurance company. Workers' Accident Insurance Institute of the Kingdom of Bohemia. Bureaucracy that Kafka would transform into nightmare literature. His job investigating factory accidents, writing reports, assessing claims. He saw how workers were chewed up by industry. The system processing bodies like paperwork. Surprisingly, he was good at his job. Colleagues respected his clear writing, his fair assessments. He rose in position. The bureaucrat Franz functioned well. Daytime work, nighttime writing. The divided life. Office closed at 2. Franz ate, slept briefly. Then wrote from 10 at night until 2 or 3 in the morning. The schedule was exhausting. 4 hours of sleep, then back to the office. His health suffered. But the stories emerged from those stolen midnight hours. The judgment written in one night, September 22, 1912, 10 p.m. until 6 a.m., 8 hours of trance-like writing. When dawn came, Franz knew he had broken through. That same year, engagement to Phyllis Bauer. Met at Max Broad's house, August 1912. She was practical, capable. Everything Franz admired and feared becoming responsible for. 500 letters over 5 years. The courtship conducted through mail. Franz writing to Phyllis sometimes twice daily. Intimacy achieved and avoided through paper. First engagement in 1914. Official announcement, family celebrations. Then broken within months. Franz could not go through with it. The court found him guilty of inability. The trial begun that same summer, directly after the broken engagement. The hotel room confrontation with Phyllis became Kay's courtroom, life feeding directly into art. The tribunal at the Askenischer Hof. Phyllis, her sister Erna, her friend Greet Bloch, all confronting Franz. He described it in his diary as his trial, the word chosen deliberately. He described it as court proceeding. Himself as defendant, the women as prosecutors and judges. Guilty verdict delivered. Connection to novel unmistakable and deliberate. Meanwhile, World War I began. August 1914. Franz was exempted from military service, declared essential worker at the Insurance Institute. He watched the world crack open from Prague. Prague during wartime, shortages everywhere. Refugees flooding in from eastern fronts. The empire crumbling. Franz witnessed collapse while writing about institutional collapse. His sisters married during the war. Ellie, Vali, Atla, all finding husbands, building families. Franz remained alone, writing. The only Kafka child without children. Second engagement to Felice in 1917. Somehow they tried again, somehow it failed again. Then tuberculosis arrived and ended the question permanently. Disease as verdict. Franz almost welcomed it. Finally, physical explanation for inability to live normally. The body providing excuse the mind could not. Retreat to Sister Atla's farm in Zhu Rao. Months of attempted recovery. Country air, simple food, no office work. Franz found strange peace in expected death. At Zhu Rao he wrote aphorisms, condensed wisdom, philosophical fragments, thoughts compressed to their essence. Less story, more pure reflection in the face of mortality. One aphorism captured everything: there is hope, but not for us. The Kafkaesque condition in 7 words. Consolation that excludes the one who needs it. Return to Prague changed him. Body weaker but writing intensified. The castle begun. Another K, another unreachable authority. The vision deepening as time shortened. Another engagement, Julie Warizek this time. Poor typist, sweet and simple. Father's reaction was brutal. Class betrayal, he called it. Letter to his father resulted. Father's cruel letter about Julie. Attacking her family, her poverty, her unsuitability. Franz wounded deeply by paternal contempt. The old trial reopening. Letter to his father written in response. November 1919. 47 pages explaining everything. Accusation and defense in single document. The trial of Franz versus Herman. Then Malina Jesenska. Czech journalist, married, intellectual, equal. Different from all others. Franz loved her as equal, not as judge. It still could not work. Franz loved Malina differently. Equals in writing, in thought. Their letters show real intimacy, real understanding. But she was married, and he was dying. Their letters were later burned, most of them. Malina died in Ravensbrück concentration camp 1944. Another Kafka connection consumed by the nightmare he foresaw. The Castle written in 1922. Land surveyor K summoned to a village, trying to reach the castle that governs everything. Same futility, different landscape. Similar protagonist, similar futility. K tries to reach the castle officials. Is always almost there, never arrives. Authority exists to be pursued but never reached. Then Berlin, 1923. Franz finally left Prague, left his father's city, moved to Germany with Dora Diamant, the escape he had dreamed of for decades. Dora Diamant was 19. From Hasidic family she had broken away. Young, vital, devoted. She gave Franz the domestic happiness he had thought impossible. They planned to emigrate to Palestine together. Learn Hebrew, escape Europe entirely. Dreams that the body would not allow. But they dreamed them together. But tuberculosis worsened rapidly, spread to larynx, voice disappearing, weight dropping, the body's verdict becoming final. Berlin winter was not helping. Return to Prague was necessary. Then sanitarium outside Vienna, Kierling, Dr. Hugo Hoffmann's facility. The final venue for the final act. Dora stayed with him. The only woman who stayed to the end. Nursing him, loving him, witnessing the departure of genius she perhaps did not fully recognize. Even dying, Franz worked. Proofreading A Hunger Artist, his final story collection. The irony, a story about refusing food. Corrected by a man who could not swallow. He asked Max Brod to burn everything. All unpublished manuscripts. The trial, the castle, America, notebooks, letters, everything. Burn it all, Franz begged. Brod refused. His friend wanted destruction. Brod chose preservation. The greatest literary betrayal. The greatest literary salvation. One decision containing both. Death came June 3, 1924. Dr. Klopstock was present. Morphine administered for the pain. Franz Kafka stopped breathing just before noon. The trial was over. His last words are uncertain. Something about water, something about not leaving. The final communication lost in the fog of morphine and departing consciousness. Burial in Prague, the city he fled. Jewish cemetery family plot. His parents would join him there later. The city reclaimed what it had helped create. Max Brod fled the Nazis with a suitcase of manuscripts. Last train out of Prague, 1939. Kafka's work escaping the fate that claimed his sisters. The trial published in 1925. German first, then translation spreading worldwide. English version in 1937, Willow and Edwin Muir's translation. The world began reading. The Moor's English translation shaped how English speakers experienced Kafka. Their choices became Kafka's voice for generations. Translation as recreation, as new authorship almost. Orson Welles filmed The Trial in 1962. Anthony Perkins as K, All Angles and Anxiety. Welles created visual nightmare to match Kafka's prose nightmare. Welles called it his finest film. The architecture of nightmare rendered in real spaces. Huge sets dwarfing human figures. Kafka's claustrophobia made physical through cinema. Stage adaptations multiplied. Steven Berkoff's physical theater version. Forced Entertainment's experimental approach. Each generation finding new ways to perform the unperformable. Opera versions too. Gottfried von Einem's 1953 composition, Philip Glass working on Kafka texts. The stories proving musical as well as theatrical and cinematic. Philip Glass found in The Penal Colony. Another Kafka story, more extreme. Machine that writes verdict on condemned man's body. Glass found music in that horror. An academic industry was born. More scholarship written about Kafka than Kafka ever wrote himself. Thousands of dissertations, articles, books. The interpretation never ends. Existentialists claimed him. Camus and Sartre found their concerns in Kafka's pages. The absurdity, the meaninglessness, the search for purpose that finds only void. Religious readers found hidden depths. Jewish mysticism perhaps encoded in the parables. Kabbalah echoes in the unreachable law, God as castle that never answers. Marxists saw capitalism in the court. The system that processes workers like products. The bureaucracy that alienates labor from laborer. Class critique in literary form. Psychoanalysts found the father everywhere. Freud's shadow over every judge, every doorkeeper, every authority. The Oedipal drama played out in bureaucratic nightmare. Every generation reinterprets. The Cold War found totalitarianism. The digital age finds surveillance. Pandemic readers found bureaucratic medical systems. Kafka remains perpetually current. Cold War readers found the Soviet system perfectly described. The court as Politburo. The charges as ideological deviation, K. As dissident awaiting the knock at the door. Digital age finds algorithms as court, data collection as the building case. Credit scores, search histories, behavioral profiles. The modern trial runs on servers. Pandemic readers found Kafka in vaccine appointments, insurance claims, hospital bureaucracies. The system that processes bodies while bodies fail. Medical trial without verdict. Franz Kafka Museum opened in Prague. His city finally claiming him officially. The writer who fled now preserved in the place he fled from. His face appears on souvenirs now. Kafka keychains, Kafka t-shirts, Kafka coffee mugs. The prophet of alienation merchandised. The irony would not be lost on him. The Franz Kafka Prize established in Prague. Czech literary honor bearing his name. Writers receiving awards in name of writer, who could not finish most of his books. His influence spreads to writers worldwide. Borges, Beckett, Coetzee. Every writer of alienation and institutional horror owes debt to the insurance clerk from Prague. Haruki Murakami acknowledges the debt openly. Surreal bureaucracies populate his novels. Isolated protagonists facing incomprehensible systems. Kafka's children writing in Japanese. David Lynch's visual work echoes Kafka constantly. Corridors, officials, impossible spaces. Twin Peaks bureaucracy of evil. Mulholland Drive's nightmare logic. Cinema learned from literature. Terry Gilliam made Brazil explicitly Kafkaesque. Bureaucratic dystopia. Paperwork as violence. The individual crushed by systems too large to see or fight. 85. Even video games use his imagery. Bureaucratic horror as gameplay. Papers please the witness others. Interactive Kafkaesque experiences. Players becoming K. Directly. Kafkaesque in everyday speech now. The word we all understand. When the insurance company denies your claim for unspecified reasons. That's Kafkaesque. We say. But the word gets cheapened through overuse. Every frustration becomes Kafkaesque. The true horror diluted. Minor inconveniences named with term meant for existential terror. True Kafkaesque is powerlessness before indifferent systems. Accusation without possibility of defense. Judgment without possibility of appeal. The void where justice should live. We live in his world now. Surveillance data, algorithmic judgment. The court he imagined has been built in silicon and code. K's nightmare became our reality. The trial grows more relevant each year. Every new system, every new bureaucracy, every new way of processing humans through forms. Kafka saw it first. His warning went unheeded. Or perhaps some warnings cannot be heeded. Perhaps the court is not a system we chose but the system we are. The trial continues. So this is the story we have traveled through tonight. A man accused of an unnamed crime. A court that never explains. A verdict without appeal. K never learned the charges against him. Neither did we. Perhaps that is the point. Perhaps there were never charges, only the permanent fact of accusation. The ending is not happy. K dies in a quarry, killed by strangers who never explain. But was happiness ever what this story promised? It promised truth. Kafka gave us a mirror. When we look at K's confusion, we see our own. When we feel his helplessness before systems, we recognize the feeling. Every time we wait on hold for answers that never come. Every time we fill forms that seem to vanish. The trial whispers, I know, I understand. Every form we cannot understand despite trying. Every rule that seems designed to exclude. Every office that sends us to another office. The court extends everywhere. Every explanation that explains nothing. Every answer that raises more questions. Every authority that passes you to higher authority forever. The law remains unreachable. But there is strange comfort here. Recognition is not nothing. Knowing the nightmare has a name, knowing others have walked these corridors before, that helps somehow. Knowing the nightmare has a name provides its own relief. Kafkaesque, we say, and in naming it, we claim small power over it. Language is resistance. We are not alone in confusion. K walked this path before us. Millions of readers have followed. The accused form a silent community across time and space. 100 years have passed since Kafka wrote in Prague Nights. The insurance clerk scratching away while the city slept. The candle burning toward dawn. His tuberculosis is cured now. The disease that killed him at 40 is treatable. But his vision remains incurable. We cannot cure what he diagnosed in us. The world became what he imagined. Or perhaps he simply saw clearly what was always there. The court existed before Kafka named it. He just showed us. Prague still stands. Tourists photograph his face on murals and merchandise. The city that could not hold him now profits from his memory. He might find that funny. The Jewish cemetery holds him still, stone marking where his body rests. The trial of Franz Kafka concluded there in 1924. The verdict was silence. Let the images fade now. The courtroom's emptying. The benches where accused men waited silent now. The corridors stretching into darkness, finally still. The corridors growing quiet. Gaslight dimming in the offices. Clerks going home to families who do not know what they do. Paper resting at last. K's boarding house settling into sleep. Frau Grubach's parlor dark. The other boarders dreaming their separate dreams. The building holding its memories quietly. The advocate's candles guttering in the sick room. Cases postponed until morning. Hold sleeping among his files. Even lawyers rest, even exploiters dream their dreams. Cathedral bells distant, marking hours no one counts. The vast stone space empty now. Where K heard the parable, silence holds instead of words. Tittarelli's studio dark at last. The Heath paintings leaning against walls, dreaming perhaps of the landscapes they endlessly repeat. Even mass-produced art can rest. Even the doorkeeper rests somewhere. The guardian of the unreachable law, sleeping his dreamless sleep. The door closed for now. The law patient as always. The man from the country is gone now. His lifetime of waiting ended. His door closed forever as the parable promised. But tonight, no one waits. And you, here listening, still with me after all these corridors. Your trial postponed indefinitely for tonight. No summons will arrive before morning. Rest. Your case is not urgent tonight. Whatever waits for you can wait until tomorrow. The court will still be there. The forms will still need filling. No summons will arrive now. The mail has stopped. The phone will not ring at this hour. only sleep's gentle invitation, which asks nothing and judges nothing. K found no rest in his story. The trial consumed him waking and sleeping. But you are not K. Your story continues beyond this night. His story was nightmare. Yours is simply night. The difference matters more than you might think right now. Night ends. Nightmares can end too. You will wake tomorrow. The accusations that fill the dark hours often fade with daylight. Not always, but often enough. Daylight helps. The accusations often fade with daylight. What loomed large in darkness shrinks in morning sun. Usually, this is not nothing. This is the gift of waking. Thank you for staying this long. Through all the bureaucracy and darkness. Through K's suffering and Kafka's strange life. You have been good company tonight. Kafka would perhaps be bemused. His nightmare visions become bedtime comfort. The writer of insomnia helping people sleep. He might appreciate the irony. Perhaps it is appropriate. Sleep is acquittal of a kind. Consciousness suspended, the internal court adjourned. For a few hours, judgment pauses. That is something. Consciousness suspended. Judgment postponed. The trial that runs while we wake taking its nightly recess. In sleep, even the accused find temporary pardon. The court has no jurisdiction in dreams. Usually, sleep is territory the law cannot fully reach. Your dreams are yours alone tonight. Usually. Rest now. The corridor ends here for tonight. No more doors to try, no more offices to find. Just this room, this moment, this gentle stopping. No more waiting rooms tonight. Just this room, this bed, this quiet moment between the story ending and sleep beginning. The space is yours now. We will meet again, you and I. Another story, another night. But for now, this story is complete. Kafka has been told. K has been remembered. But for now, for tonight, let everything rest. The court and the quarry. The doorkeeper and his door. The man who waited and the law he never reached. Good night. The trial is over for tonight. Sleep well. Dream of doors that open easily, of courts that find you innocent, of mornings that bring only light.